The year is 1938. The most dangerous man on Earth has a problem. He's losing a race he doesn't even know he's in. His scientists are working on weapons, real ones, terrifying ones. But somewhere deep in the SS research machine, someone is working on something else. A bell-shaped device that may bend time. A secret society channeling blueprints from an alien star system. Flying saucers, Antarctic bunkers, a master race with a non-human origin. Did the Third Reich pursue contact with extraterrestrials? This is Hitler and the Alien Connection. Will you believe? Let's get into it. Welcome to another episode of Mostly True Alien Stories.
UFO sightings. Many Americans have wondered about the dangers of unknown objects.
In Mexico pulling back the curtain. We need to save ourselves.
Welcome back to Mostly True Alien Stories. I'm Neil Girandola, and this is the podcast where we take a true report of an alien encounter from history, and we lay out what we know, and then decide whether this is a mostly true alien story or not. Today, we're going somewhere we've never gone before. We're going into the Third Reich. Now, before we do, I want to be crystal clear about something. We are not here to romanticize or glorify or in any way provide cover for one of the most evil regimes in human history. What happened under Hitler was a catastrophe, full stop. So just want to preface that before we dive in. But the historical record, both documented and heavily theorized, raises a genuinely weird question. Was the Nazi obsession with a master race, with ancient origins, with impossible technology, pointing somewhere beyond Earth? So today we dig into 5 of the most compelling claims in the Hitler alien mythology: the Bell, the Vril Society, the Ananurba flying saucers, Base 211 in Antarctica, and the Ananurba, the SS Paranormal Research Division. Plus, I've got a little bit of a bonus angle I think you guys are going to love. It's going to blow your mind, and we'll get to that by the end of this episode. So before we get into it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button wherever you are listening right now, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Mostly True Alien Stories for really cool alien conversations. Every subscribe that we get helps us grow, and we want to reach more aliens. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All right, and before we get into it, we got to meet the rest of the team. Here to remind me that none of this is real is our resident alien agnostic, Andrew Triana. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Neil. I just wanted to say I love a good boner side claim thing that you talked about. Was that it? Oh, no, bonus. Bonus, sorry.
Yeah, it's just bonus. Just bonus.
Just-
And moving along to our newest and maybe replacement, and it's our producer, Emma G. She is along for the ride. She's a ghost hunter, true believer, and Andrew's worst nightmare, I think. And I am sure she's got questions teed up for today's episode. Say hello to Emma. Hi, Emma.
Hey guys, thank you
Hi.
for welcoming me to the alien universe. I am a ghost hunter, but I actually have heard of this topic before. And even though it's pretty heavy, I'm really interested to see what you guys bring to the table today.
Whatever, Emma. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you know. Before we get into today's report, there is some interesting news I do want to talk about. It's something that came up this month that I think is kind of this step towards where we are today in this whole alien conversation. It's a college class. Montana Technological University in Butte, Montana. It's a school that has been educating students since the 1900s, and they're known for engineering, science, math. They're now offering a class on aliens, a real accredited evidence-based course on unidentified flying objects. So more UFOs than anything.
Wow.
And it's one of the only schools in the country that's doing it right now. And the guy that's teaching it, this professor, he's Dr. Michael Masters. He's an anthropology professor. He's got a doctorate from Ohio State. He's written multiple books on the subject of UFOs, and he's kind of not messing around. He's taking this very serious. He says it's not a UFOs in pop culture. You know, he doesn't want people to think of it as like a film studies elective class or anything like that. They're actually challenged to research the phenomenon through credible sources, according to him. They examine documented evidence, and they treat this as a serious academic inquiry.
Does he claim to have seen an alien or a UFO?
He doesn't, but what he does claim is that there are fiber optic cables that we use today. He believes are reverse engineered from alien craft.
Oh,
Wow.
And he's got kids signing up for his class because they thought it was a joke. And you saw the posters and everything. And I think good for the university for saying, hey, let's add this. I don't know if the university completely takes it serious or if they're using it more for recruiting. Because if they're the only university that's offering UFO courses, your ears perk up. Wait, what is this school? It's
Right.
one of those things.
So they do what we do, but more serious.
Well, they're teaching. Well, I don't know that we're
Right.
teaching.
I think we're teaching people.
You think
Yeah.
so?
We're
Well,
teaching them
We're
about
enlightening them.
UFO, folklore or UFO history. We're teaching them about that. We're just giving our opinions on it. No different than what this guy is doing. We're just not making a professor's salary. We're not tenured anywhere. So
I wonder though if what is he going to be doing on the daily in these classes?
probing people.
Maybe there's an element to that.
Look, if we're serious, why don't we go to DeVry and offer our course at DeVry? You
Why
can
DeVry?
you can learn the truck drive and learn about aliens at the same time. Truck
you
drive
wanna
and
do a
aliens.
combo course.
Yeah, why not?
Why do we need to truck drive and learn about aliens?
Why not, Emma? Why not?
All right.
You can't be opposed to everything. I mean, come on. We got to give and take. It's a give and take.
You're right. My thought is that with a college course, there is you're looking to get a job after college.
Yeah.
Because of those courses. So I'm curious, what is he telling them? Okay, we are using this course for this future job. Is there a job in this other than what we do?
That's why the truck driving thing works. Because if you can't make it as a professor teaching UFO stuff, you can always be a truck driver because they're always needed. See?
So it's a backup. So it's an automatic backup. Yeah, that you've got. I'm going to school for UFOs
and truck driving.
I wish I had that degree though. I would love that. I would do it. I would take the class.
Let me ask you this: as a ghost hunter and a paranormal investigator, if they had that course at a university, you probably. What do you think would be more popular, UFOs or that?
I guess it's what you believe. I don't know, or what you really think. I would do both. They actually do have programs for universities. They do have para research.
Yeah, para research. Yeah. Because there's equipment and stuff you have to learn about. It's like an engineering thing. It's serious stuff, right?
So when did that start? When did that get put into colleges, Emma?
I think a long time ago, because these societies, these paranormal societies, have been around for a long time.
Well, it's been at least
the 50s.
Yeah, it's been at least 25 years since they started educating people on it. At least 25 years.
Right. So they were saying this is legitimate. The paranormal investigation stuff is legitimate. So they legitimized it regardless of what you thought about it back then, and they put it into universities. So this is where this is heading now with the aliens and UFOs. They're going to start legitimizing it. I mean, we're at the point we're witnessing this now in real time. And I think it's crazy because 10 years ago, this guy, they would say he's nuts. What? You're going to do what? Even 5 years ago, maybe they would have said that's not something we're going to do.
He's still nuts. I don't care what he says.
Andrew, would have you taken the course? Would you take the course?
Of course I would. Yeah, I would have taken it. I would have taken it because I would have been fascinated by what he had to say.
Yeah.
And then I would have brought him up on charges at the university and had him disbarred.
Why?
I don't know. I just felt like saying that.
Jesus.
He's a spy.
I'd wait for him in the parking lot with a phone book and a rubber hose, wearing a ski mask. Here's for your aliens.
I don't know. I wonder if this is a pass fail or you get a grade in it because what are you going to do?
I mean, you're graded on what? His opinion on stuff? I mean, I don't understand.
Well, I think you're assuming.
I really don't.
I think you're assuming it's opinion based. I think he's got to have a course that has at least some form of curriculum that follows some sort of textbook sort of course and video. I'd imagine a lot of video stuff. If they're looking at elements, how to identify maybe between drones and other sort of or drones or government tech or whatever we're looking at. I think that's probably more what this course would be about. Yeah, maybe more how interdimensional travel may work, understanding the science of that. I'm pretty sure there's more to it than him just going, "That's a UFO," and if you don't say it's a UFO, you get an F.
It's
I think
probably
it's gotta be more than that.
participation, mostly.
Well,
Truthfully.
Would
Yeah.
this course be more credited if it was coming from MIT than Montana Technical University? I mean, think about it.
Yeah, but that leans back to the bravery of this university or the brilliancy of this university for their branding, because we're
Yeah.
talking about them on this national podcast that has almost 4,000 subscribers.
Today's
So-
episode is sponsored by Montana Tech
It's
University.
not. It's not
where
sponsored
you
by
learn
that.
to
You just make up sponsors.
Yeah, we
Man.
can't. Yeah, we can't.
Anyway, it is one of those things where I think that it may be a twofold, that the marketing department at Montana University said, "Hey, why not? Let's do it."
We got to get out there.
Yeah, but let's make sure the
Maybe.
professor Masters isn't nuts. Let's make sure our teacher isn't crazy. He's not coming in and, in his
wearing a
underpants.
tinfoil hat.
Yeah. Yeah. Saying, "Everybody get under your seats.
Get
Aliens
under
are
your
here."
desks.
Maybe they'll bring us for guest speakers. That'd be cool. Bring us in.
Oh, it'd be fun. We can come
Yeah.
in. They can ask us all kinds of questions, and Andrew would be like, "Yeah, I think I'm going to report this professor the minute we leave here."
The
Yeah.
NCAA. I don't know why the NCAA's athletic commission, but
All right, it's stories like this that actually makes today's report land differently than it might have even a year ago, because what Dr. Masters is teaching his students, that serious people with serious credentials have been reverse engineering craft that did not come from this planet. That idea did not start with congressional hearings. It didn't start with a whistleblower, and some researchers believe it started in the mountains of Poland, in a facility called Der Riese, with a device the Nazis called die Glocke, the bell. And that is where we're going today. Are you guys ready to jump into today's story?
I'm ready.
yes.
All right, let's start with the one that has the most documentation behind it, even if that documentation is a little shaky. Die Glocke, which is German for the bell. The story first surfaces publicly in 2000. I thought it came out much earlier than that, through a Polish journalist named Igor Witkowski, probably Witkowski. He claims to have been shown classified transcripts from the war crimes trial of an SS general named Jakob Sporenberg. In those transcripts, which Witkowski was allowed to transcribe but not copy, Sporenberg describes a device, bell-shaped, about 12 feet tall, 9 feet wide, made of heavy metal. And inside, there was these two counter-rotating cylinders filled with a violet mercury-like substance called Zerum 525. And when activated, it would glow, it hummed, and people near it got sick. Some even died. And the project was called Kronos, as in time. The device was tested at a facility called Der Riese, the Giant, in the Al Mountains of what is now Poland. All that remains today is a mysterious concrete structure that looks like a massive circular henge, which some believe was the test rig used to tether the bell when it activated, because apparently it levitated. Here's where it gets a little crazy. If that's not crazy enough. In 1965, 20 years after the war, a bell-shaped object with hieroglyphic-like markings crashed in the woods outside Kecksburg, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
And the military showed up immediately. They sealed the area. They removed the object on a flatbed truck and officially declared nothing was there. Some researchers believe the bell survived the war, and then it was handed over to the U.S. under a secret deal with SS General Hans Kammler, who then disappeared at the end of the war. And that what crashed in Kecksburg was either the bell itself or an American attempt to replicate it. All right, so Kammler, by the way, for those who don't know, he was the overseer of the V-2 rocket program, and he was one of the most powerful men in the SS, a real dirtbag. So he vanished completely in the spring of 1945, and there was no confirmed death. They never found his body, and there was no trial for him. He was just gone. And we're going to come back to that in just a minute. Now, the second claim is the Vril Society of Maria Orsic. Now, this one leans more occult than hardware, but it's really fascinating. The Vril Society was a secret group active in pre-war Germany, and at its center was a woman named Maria Orsic. Orsic was a medium and she claimed to be receiving transmissions telepathically from beings in the Aldebaran star system, 65 light years away. She wasn't getting these spiritual impressions. She was getting actual technical blueprints. So schematics for a propulsion system powered by an energy source she called Vril. Instructions for a circular aircraft, a flying saucer that could travel between star systems. And she reportedly presented these plans to a senior Nazi figure, to multiple ones. And some researchers claim that at least one prototype was built, tested, and possibly flown. Orsic herself disappears from the historic record in 1945, and her last known communication allegedly sent to Vril Society members contained only one line: "Nobody is staying." Nobody knows what happened to her after that. And now, the third claim, the Hanabu, Nazi flying saucers. This is the most visually famous part of the mythology, and the one you probably have seen. You don't realize it, they've been in grainy photos online. The Hanabu, a series of disc-shaped craft, allegedly 3 distinct models, each larger and more capable than the last, supposedly built by the SS using either the Vril blueprints from Orsic, the Glocke technology, or both. So there was speculation on that whole project being built upon those. The evidence here is photos. They got blueprints, drawings. Some look convincingly technical. Most are almost certainly fabricated. That's what they say. Here's what's real. Victor Schoenberger, he's an Austrian inventor obsessed with what he called implosion physics and vortex energy. He was forced to work for the Nazis during the war. And his concepts, spinning fluid dynamics, creating lift and propulsion, are technically interesting. He never claimed alien contact, but his work got folded into the flying saucer mythology regardless. So this guy was working with them. All the technology that he was working on, they partnered with all the stuff they were working on with the Glocke, et cetera, those things. So after the war, Schoenberger went to the United States and he signed contracts with a mysterious American company, and then he dies shortly after that. He was convinced that his work had been stolen. The fourth claim, in 1938, Germany sent an expedition to Antarctica. This is true. They mapped a territory they called Neuschwabenland, and that part is completely real. The theory is that under the ice, with help from beings already living there, either alien or ancient human, the Nazis built Base 211, a massive underground facility. And when the war ended, they say that's where Hitler went. To support this theory, in 1946 and 47, the U.S. Navy launched Operations High Jump, officially a scientific expedition led by Admiral Richard Byrd, with 4,700 men, 13 ships, and 23 aircraft. That doesn't sound like a science trip. The operation ended early, and Byrd reportedly told a Chilean journalist that the U.S. had encountered aircraft that could fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. The scale of High Jump and its abrupt ending has never been fully explained. So they haven't been able to explain away why they sent all these guys there to look at this stuff. All right, and then the final claim, the Ananurba, the SS Paranormal Research Division. This is also documented and real. It was Heinrich Himmler's pet project. The SS Research Division dedicated to finding evidence of a pure Aryan ancestral civilization. They sent expeditions to Tibet, to the Middle East, to South America, and they searched for the Ark of the Covenant, the Spear of Destiny, and the mythological homeland of a master race they believed were not entirely human in origin. Now, the fringe theory takes it further. The Ananurba wasn't looking for human ancestors. They were looking for beings who had seeded the Aryan bloodline. And if they could find their artifacts, their technology, they could reestablish contact. It's crazy, crazy shit.
Do you think they are trying to justify what happened through that theory?
It's a great question. I don't think they gave a shit. I think they were truly trying to, completely wipe out a race. We'll get into it, but I don't know if that answers your question, but I do believe that I don't think they were trying to justify anything. I think it was part of the plan. I think it was just all part of it. I don't think there was a justification made. I don't think there was no guilt. You justify because you have guilt. There was no
Right.
guilt.
Yeah, I think that we should go back because you mentioned the Ark of the Covenant. For those who might not know what that is the actual box that was laid in gold that the 10 Commandments that Moses brought down from Sinai were actually carried in that. And the belief was that any army that possesses the Ark is unstoppable. And then the Spear of Destiny, which you mentioned, is the spear that they believe Roman soldier used to pierce Jesus' side and ultimately kill him. Those
Right,
two
good
things have been people have been looking for because they believe if you hold this spear of destiny, it is the ultimate weapon.
Yeah.
So if you have that, no matter who you are, you're supposed to have complete power. So that's just a little bit of history there for those two items.
So here's the thread that I couldn't let go of, a little bit of the bonus. Hans Kammler, he was arguably the most powerful non-combat figure in the SS by 1945. He oversaw the V2 program. He had access to every black project, and every credible researcher agrees he didn't die in the bunker in the war. So one theory holds that Kammler, and Andrew, you and I talked about this briefly in another episode. One theory holds that Kammler made a deal with American intelligence before the war ended. He surrendered himself and the projects he controlled, including possibly Die Glocke, in exchange for immunity and a new life under Operation Paperclip. Now, in 1965, in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, a bell-shaped craft crashes. Military shows up in hours. I just mentioned this earlier. Everything disappears, and the object eyewitnesses describe matches Die Glocke in size, shape, and even the mysterious markings on its surface. So the question has been always brought up, was Kecksburg a test of captured Nazi technology? Was it Die Glocke itself, 20 years after the war, still being reverse engineered by American scientists who got it from Kammler? Or, and I know this sounds insane, but this is what's in the reports, did Kammler use the bell to escape and arrive 20 years in the future in a Pennsylvania forest? The project was literally called Kronos, which means time. So maybe that is it. All right, so that's the report as I have it. Andrew, I am going to hand it off to you to fill in some those other details. But before I do that, I want to see, Emma, do you think, just based on what I just spoke about, and you don't have to go real deep into this, do you think that any of these hold water and are a mostly true alien story or not? Speak for the people. Emma, what are you thinking?
I have another question. There are two people in these theories that have disappeared without a trace. One of them being a Nazi general, the other being a medium and a woman at the time making, large claims. And I guess my question is, how is everyone disappearing, especially of large status and importance? To your point, are they using the device, or is the Nazi army hiding them for whatever reason? Or is this medium up in space now with the aliens that she had contact with at the time?
Those are great questions. Those are great questions, but you don't know the answers.
I know the answers to
Yeah,
all
he
of
knows.
them.
Andrew's going to fill in some stuff, but before we get into that, just based on what we talked about, what's your overall thought on this? Is there enough there that you think this is a mostly true alien story or not?
I don't think I'm quite there yet. I think there's a lot of possibility that they had legitimate technology that was, and science that they were working on that was beyond our time, which also would explain Project Paperclip and why we brought them in, to the U.S. to work on certain projects here.
Answer the question.
So, Fraulein, your answer is no.
Yeah.
All right, so she's saying no right now. There's not enough there. Not enough there. Let's see if Andrew can change our mind. And then, Andrew, you're going to weigh in. You're going to provide us fill in the holes and some of these details. And then we will all weigh in on whether we think this is a mostly true alien story or not. All right, Andrew, what do you have?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for having me here to the show.
No.
I landed in Pennsylvania and become part of the Amish community there. Thank you, Amish. And since none of my Amish friends will actually see me on this show, it's very good.
Kammler's with the Amish?
Yeah, that's good, yeah. Okay. So we're going to go back.
Imagine he lands in Kecksburg and he's just like, comes out, it's 20 years in the future. He's just like, oh, yeah, I live somewhere. Yeah, and he heads over to the Amish. They take him in. He's there.
Yeah, he's
plowing
teaching them how to
fields.
make new ways to make cheese.
All right, go on. You're up.
We can't talk about Operation Paperclip without going back to the very beginning with the Zerum 525. It all kind of comes together, right? And we can't talk about any of this unless we bring up Werner von Braun. Okay, I'm going to get to who he was. Okay, so Zerum 25 is most commonly referenced in writings with the bell. It's a Nazi secret weapon or experimental device from World War II. According to these accounts, Zerum 25 was a purplish, metallic-looking liquid alleged to have strange properties, such as highly radioactive, maybe that's why the people died, or part of an alleged anti-gravity or free energy experiment.
That's wild.
Some of the conspiracy theories describe Zerum 525 as a substance contained in counter-rotating cylinders inside the bell machine, supposedly essential to whatever effect the device was claimed to produce, whether it's time travel or flight. There's no credible historical or scientific evidence that Zerum 525 ever existed.
There isn't.
There is
so
not.
This could have just been made up and put in the documents for...
Right. So mainstream historians regard the bell itself as a pseudo-scientific rumor or myth with no actual documented Nazi program.
But there's no origin. There's no origin to that claim.
No. And here's where it gets crazy. You mentioned Operation Paperclip, right? Well, Operation Paperclip was actually a secret U.S. government program that began at the end of World War II. Fascinating how we're always, when every report that we've done about aliens, it's somehow the U.S. government is always
starts here.
They're always there.
They're always,
you know what?
They always come up
there. And they always come up with really dumb project names.
Yeah.
Project
Operation
Paperclip.
Yeah. Paperclip is ridiculous. Yeah.
Stupid. Can we do something better than that?
So this had to do with the Cold War, right? So here's the no nonsense breakdown. Okay. Werner von Braun is one of the most consequential and morally complicated figures of the 20th century. He sits right at the intersection of Nazi weapons, Operation Paperclip, Cold War secrecy, and the space race. All right, little history. He was born 1912 in Germany. He died in 1977 in the United States. He was a rocket engineer and the visionary for us for spaceflight. Central figure in both Nazi Germany's missile program and America's path to the moon. Fascinating.
Yeah,
how we take a Nazi, we bring him here, and we he's a friend. So we can say that we brought him here and we kind of sanitized him, right, of all his Nazi past. He became a U.S. Army engineer. He worked on the Redstone missiles, Jupiter rockets, and intercontinental ballistic missile foundations. Then he went to work for NASA.
And he was a part of all the atrocity.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. He was a bad man. He was a bad man who tortured people.
But if you can build bombs for us.
So listen to this. This is what von Braun is linked to. All right. He designed the Saturn V. He led the Marshall Space Flight Center. He became chief architect of the Apollo program. Here's the thing. The moon landing likely wouldn't have happened in 1969 without von Braun.
Okay. Now, how does that connect him to Zerum 525 and the Glocke?
He was part of one of the scientists that helped develop it for this interplanetary travel or whatever the hell
his name's
doing,
associated with it.
With Zerum 525.
Way, shape, or another.
Yeah. So there's more on Operation Paperclip and more about von Braun than there is about Zerum 525, which makes me believe that Zerum 525 never existed.
But
it was just something that they threw out there.
Erased from history?
Possibly.
Or it could be a conglomerate of different theories that they just put them together. Take some truth from here and some lies from here, and they put it in here for disinformation or being misleading in one way, shape, or another.
So also, this shows how great we are for the United States of America. The U.S. Army Intelligence, they actually recruited over 1,600 German specialists and brought them. So I'm not saying all 1,600 of them were SS officers or bad people, but I'm going to go with they were. All right. So
that's the Glocke. That's the connection there with the Glocke, the bell, Kronos time.
And I mean, this thing goes deep. This goes deep into NASA. I mean, it's pretty crazy, the stuff that I was able to uncover. But it also led to like supersonic flight, our ballistic missiles, high altitude research crafts, right? You know, those weather balloons that people spotted that were nothing to see here, folks, that might have been early ships. And all this stuff was happening between the late 1940s and 50s, where people started seeing spaceships that were accelerating or ships that were accelerating at an unknown speed. I mean,
crazy.
It's crazy.
If they had technology like that back then, and if it was government built, imagine back in the 40s seeing something like that.
Well, let's talk about the 40s since you brought it up. 1947 Roswell. That's exactly when paperclip scientists were arriving.
Wow.
So we're starting this buildup of all these sightings, and it's odd. And the coincidence is we're bringing these German technology experts over, and maybe they're either reverse engineering or they are building technology of some sort.
So that just shows that we were probably testing certain crafts back then, and maybe that's what led to the whole Roswell thing. They changed this stuff from wonder weapons into alien myths. So that's where we get this whole alien thing, but they were actual weapons. There are people that believe that the Germans were building those flying discs to be used as weapons, not as alien spacecraft.
You're saying that if they were building this technology, though, they weren't using it for travel or to explore. They were using it for destruction.
That was the ultimate goal. All this stuff leads to Cold War. It's just, you keep digging and you don't know where it stops.
Sure.
These scientists, all the German people, they just died or they disappeared.
Sure.
But they actually came here.
Yeah.
And we started seeing the results and how quickly we advanced in missiles. It seems weird, but it's easier to make a claim and start the mythology that it's UFOs because we would never hire these people. We would never bring those horrible people here and work with them. They're terrible people.
It might have been the beginning of a disinformation campaign just to keep that secret. Yeah. Not necessarily alien, but they had the most advanced scientists in Germany at the time. And instead of killing them, they made deals with them to bring them here to help us advance our technology.
Right. So you can look at it like this. Operation Paperclip didn't bring aliens to the United States or make us more aware. It made the alien stories inevitable. Because
I love that. Wow.
Your mind just got blown.
For the first time in 55 episodes, you just blew my mind on that one.
You mentioned Hans Kammler. We just thought he was just the torturer of people, but no, he was actually an engineer.
You're still talking about the bell, the bell, and Kammler advancing through time. Okay, go ahead.
So all these people, they're all intertwined.
Sure.
They're all it's just incest, right?
Yeah.
So he was one of Heinrich Himmler's most trusted men, not a scientist, but the man who controlled the scientists. So he was an engineer, but he wasn't a scientist. So he didn't design any of these weapons, but he made sure the weapons were designed.
Sure. He made sure it got done.
So between 1944 and 1945, Kammler had authority over the V-2 rocket program, advanced aircraft programs, jet propulsion research, secret construction projects, and special access programs with extreme compartmentalization. This is where it gets really bad, is because it talks about, and I'm not going to get into it, the connection between concentration camps and all of his research. So he had his own division. And in that, he was testing shit on people and he was doing awful things to people. I mean, he even tested like jet rockets on people. He apparently, this is the claim, you mentioned this, official Nazi records claim that Kammler committed suicide apparently in May 1945.
Oh, that's the story that they gave?
Yes, but they never found a body.
Right.
No body, no grave.
So they never said how he took his own life? They just said he did. That was it.
Yeah. So here's the conspiracy theory, is that Kammler may have surrendered to U.S. forces.
Right, I mentioned that. So and then handed over all the technology in a deal to
to stay here, right?
Yeah.
Because unlike the scientist, Kammler had command knowledge, so he knew where everything was buried.
Sure.
That's why they would have kept him alive, literally and figuratively.
How does this explain the Pennsylvania, the bell-shaped, the bell being in Pennsylvania?
Because supposedly we built that bell and we crashed it. We couldn't control it 20 years later. We were trying to put it together.
Kammler gave us that information. We built it to test it out, and then that was that.
Right.
But then the theory collides with Kammler taking that technology and jumping through time and landing in Pennsylvania.
Gotcha.
But the Die Glocke, all of that detail that you filled in is kind of confirming that is not. There's a lot of missing information. What is real in the Die Glocke? What is confirmed? Anything?
Nothing is confirmed.
All
Okay.
right. Next.
Maria
Orsic, the Vril Society. She's the one who had the psychic blueprints for technology from another star system.
So she is like at the furthest edge of World War II secret tech. She was allegedly born in Zagreb, which was then Austria and Hungary. She was described as a medium and a psychic, supposed leader or key figure of the Vril Society, and associated with long hair, trance states, and automatic writing.
What's automatic writing?
I can answer that. Automatic writing is when you go into a meditation or a trance, or a medium will start receiving messages from spirit, and they just start writing out what they are receiving.
All right, interesting. Okay.
Now so I'm just going to be upfront with this from the very beginning. There is no solid historical proof that she even existed.
Whoa.
There's no birth certificate, no verified photos, no record of her ever being alive.
All right. Do you have any idea where the story originated from? Was it in a book? Was it in an article? Was it
Nazi myths? They came up with this. I mean, dude, they could come up with so much stuff.
Yeah, but what's the point of doing that? What's the point of making this part up? Because that would be crazy. It's weird. It's so weird. I believe it.
It goes back to the Vril Society, right? So the Vril Society itself is part myth and part misinterpretation. So, inspired by the 1871 science fiction novel The Coming Race by Edward Bulwer Lytton, it supposedly goals was to access hidden energy, which is what Vril means, contact non-human intelligences, and build advanced propulsion systems. So there's no evidence of a real organization, no documentation tying it to Nazi leadership.
All right, but wait a minute. You're saying that the Vril Society is made up, or you're saying it was an organization?
There was in this book, The Coming Race. That's where it all started, where they got the idea, right? According to later accounts, Orsic allegedly received, this is post-1960. All right, so this is later. Orsic allegedly received telepathic messages. The messages were said to be in ancient Sumerian and unknown scripts. The source was claimed to be Aldebaran, from Aldebaran, a star system that's 65 light years away.
Aldebaran.
And in these messages, when she would do her automated writing, right? Technical schematics, propulsion concepts, energy systems, far beyond contemporary science. But no one's ever seen the documents.
Who wrote this book?
The Coming Race by Edward Bulwer Lytton.
Was he part of the Vril Society?
It was written in 1871. It was a science fiction novel written in 1871.
Science fiction. Okay.
Well, he wrote that in 1871, but she disappears according to the papers 1945.
But her stuff didn't start coming out until the 1960s.
But he wrote about the Vril Society.
He wrote about the Vril Society,
1800s?
right?
Okay.
It was that's why it's part myth and part misinterpretation.
Okay.
What was his and what was hers? And according to this, she never existed.
Did he talk about the Aldebaran star system in his book?
I don't know. I didn't read the book.
But
Possibly. I wonder if he did. Right, and that's where they got it from.
Emma, see about the Aldebaran star system, which is Aldebaran star system, 65 light years away. See if there is a connection to that book. If it's mentioned in that book, which is called what?
The
What's
Coming
the name of the
Race.
I'm not finding a specific. Well, the only specific, yes, it is referenced
in the book. Aldebaran?
Yeah, it looks like it is referenced in the book.
So that's interesting because they tie this down to in this Maria Orsic is getting signals from the Aldebaran
Right,
star
that's
system.
where she's writing into her automatic writing.
Right. But the book says it, and that came out in 1800s?
Well,
1871,
yeah, 1871. It's saying became intertwined in early 20th century German occultism with myths that an Aryan master race originated from Aldebaran. So it does say that there's been myths intertwined.
No,
that's what I'm getting at the moment.
We do know that they were going to have base 211, right, and all that stuff, and the ships to contact. That's how the Aryan nation was started. So that's how they're putting it into the occult.
But I was just trying to find the connection of if she herself, which she's not in the book, and she wasn't.
No, she's not in the book. She's not
Imagine
in the
she
book.
wasn't even born then when that book came out.
My question is, why would they make up this figure, this woman, to
Right.
be the caller of like this word and this prophecy? Like, if she
Very
was
specific.
a fabricated person.
Right.
Right.
Well,
Very specific. They gave her a name and everything, a full name.
No,
First name,
but
last name.
but if you look at history and mythology and occultism, if you go all the way back to the ancient Greeks, they had the Oracle of Delphi, which was a woman that was up on a mountain that nobody really saw unless you had a special thing, and she would see the future, and she would give all kinds of ideas of what was going to happen, all kinds of predictions. So no, it makes perfect sense with their obsession with the occult and their obsession with being the main race. It makes sense to have a woman be the person that's going to deliver the message.
Well, I don't know how that makes perfect sense, but
no, it does, because think about biblically, right? The Virgin Mary gives birth to God, right? Even in the in the Old Testament, you had Ruth, you had all of these women that were so strong. So it makes sense,
So they're
because
following
remember,
a pattern.
right? They're following the pattern, and then they bring in the occultism in this, and it makes it perfect sense to everybody because there were all these other women that were super strong.
All right, let's move on.
Victor Schoenberger, we mentioned him. So unlike Maria, this guy was absolutely real. Now, where the myth and things have changed was that he wasn't a theorist. He actually built working devices.
Yeah,
so
but
one of the first,
he's related to the Hannibal Nazi flying saucers. Yes, that's his thing.
But here's the thing. He built a log flume, used spiral flow to move timber effectively.
Mm-hmm.
He reduced the damage and friction that would happen to the logs.
Smart guy. He's a smart guy.
Right. Yeah. But that's water. Water is not propulsion. It is propulsion, but not propulsion to take you to space.
But that's just one aspect of what he was working on.
His water systems improve water quality by mimicking natural flow, air, water, vortex devices. That's now we're getting why he's part of this whole idea that he created these flying saucers, because, he can make logs move from one end of the river to the other. Why couldn't he? He's going to come up with all these devices.
I feel like you're speculating that. I mean, I think vortex energy has a lot to do. It involves water, involves
I'm getting
everything.
there.
Yeah.
Right. So this got him attention from the Nazis. The Nazi regime forced Schoenberg to work on experimental projects. They forced him.
Yeah.
Fluid dynamics, alternative propulsion, energy efficiency, right?
Mm-hmm.
He reportedly hated this period and later said his work was misused and misunderstood. There's no solid evidence that he designed flying saucers. He did work on unconventional propulsion systems, but there's no proof that he actually built a saucer. So the device that's tied to UFO lore is the egg or the bell-shaped thing, used a spinning vortex motion. See where I'm going with this? Because he did vortex and he did air circulation and water propulsion, he's automatically put into it.
I don't know. I think you're speculating. I don't think you can speak to that. I think that there is a tie to him and blueprints and photos and drawings of technology that somehow is related to the Hannibal Nazi flying saucers.
Right. Schematics existed.
Yeah.
Prototypes were built.
Mm-hmm.
Tests were incomplete or failed, and the records were destroyed or seized. What we don't know is whether it ever achieved a levitation,
right,
or whether it produced excess energy,
right,
or whether it was military visible. Those are the things that we don't know.
Yes, but it has all the ingredients of being of happening and being eliminated.
Yep.
And that makes you perk your ears up to say, okay, this guy definitely was involved in something that was related to these flying saucers.
And why was that? Because he was a perfect candidate. His ideals were unconventional but real. He involved spiraling discs, things that spun around. The Nazis showed interest. Records disappeared. He rejected mainstream physics because he was thinking of all these other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that made it easy to claim that he would make these tech-powered items for Nazis.
So you're not being fair to the information you're sharing because you're already coming in and leaning towards this is not true. I'm getting your opinion on this.
Okay, so this is directly
facts.
from Schoenberger. Okay, this is from Schoenberger.
Yes.
He was interrogated by Allied forces, and some of his work was confiscated. He said he felt exploited by all of this, and he died poor, which is sad. But before his death, He reportedly warned us. He said his ideas would be weaponized or misunderstood, and that leads to our future conspiracy theories or alien tech or whatever we're talking about right now.
Yeah, but if you think you've invented something that can be weaponized, then that would lead me to believe that this is some advanced shit. I know you're making it seem like that he is a patsy, that they're just saying that because he was in this field.
Well, they did bring him to work there. They did bring him to work.
Yeah. He is a guy that is. His name is mentioned because he was definitely on the precipice of something very far advanced, in my opinion. This is why we're still talking about this guy. I don't think they just threw a name in there.
No.
So I think that there's more to this than anything else. All right, that's the Hanabu flying saucer stuff. How about base 211?
Base 211. We said that it was an alleged secret Nazi base in Antarctica, often said to be located in the region called, I'm not even going to try to say this, Neuschwabenland, right?
That's good job.
Yeah, I'm German.
I'm going to go to Neuschwabenland for vacation, for holiday.
Wiener Schnitzel and all the other things. Yeah. Okay. So base 211.
Yeah, tell me about this, because there was 4,700 men sent there by the Navy, led by Byrd, who's very famous about what he has seen out there, his what he has mentioned. So 4,700 men, 13 ships, 23 aircraft, all to go out there to
stop the Nazis from having their secret base.
Yes, have their secret base. So there was some validity to this.
Right. So you mentioned 1938 to 39, Nazi Germany did send an expedition to Antarctica. This was supposedly about them gaining more resources, right? They built underground bases underneath the ice. The bases survived World War II, advanced craft, often disshaped and developed, right? Some tech. Later was encountered by the U.S.
Yeah, but Hitler they say Hitler even went there after the war.
Yeah, because he didn't die in the bunker. No, he didn't take the poison in the bunker. Here's the thing. There's no physical evidence there. Base 211 exists only in post-war mythology.
All right.
Now, Operation High Jump did happen.
Yeah,
yes.
Byrd went out there with all his men.
Right? A massive U.S. Navy expedition led by Byrd.
If that base didn't happen, then what was the reason Byrd went out there with all of these men?
Cold War training. And for us to establish our own Antarctica bases. It only lasted, just to let you know,
right.
It ended early. Right.
Yeah.
It was planned for 6 months, and it was finished in 8 weeks. Officially, they said it was the weather, ice conditions, and accidents, right? Something went wrong. They don't know why, but they had to pull out of there. Maybe there were aliens there. Maybe they discovered that there were actually aliens in Antarctica. So we always talk about fringe, right? So High Jump was a military engagement. The U.S. Navy encountered an advanced craft, because that was one of the stories that we heard, right? That Byrd said he saw a flying saucer, a ship that moved super fast that he couldn't understand. And some ships and planes, when they got in contact with this thing, became disabled.
That's Byrd's famous interaction.
There's no photos. There's no nothing. So you think that they went up there, right, to stop base 211, that they actually would have taken photos of this thing if it existed?
Yeah, but Byrd himself says that it happened. So, today's climate, we listen to anybody that's a government high-ranking official that says they saw something.
Right.
I mean, we don't necessarily need photos. Is that the right way to approach it? I don't know. Why would he lie? Why would he build upon the mythology of all of this?
There's no explanation of anything. There's no explanation of anything other than this thing is being treated like it's a game. You can compare it to a chessboard. I move my piece here, they move their piece there.
What does anybody have to gain by lying one way or another, whether it's U.S. or whether it's Germans? There is a connection to this whole, alien thing for some reason. Why it's all gone there, and you do have some credible people in the mix here that are adding to that.
Right. Well, we can go back to a lot of people that appear in court and give their testimony that's not credible, even though they're saying that this is true. It's not. So here's the things that we do.
You're very negative today.
You're very negative.
Nothing's true. Nothing's real.
Nothing is real.
Everyone's AI.
I'm not even
right
here.
Now. Yeah.
You're AI.
By the way, listeners, this whole story, I'll tell you right now what Andrew's going to say. This is not a mostly true alien story. I'm ruining the end for you right now. We're already there.
Let me get to this. This is what we have, okay? Nazi Antarctic Expedition 1938 to 1939. Yes, happened. Operation High Jump occurred. Yes. Byrd led it. Yes. Antarctica becoming strategically important. According to Byrd, yes. According to the U.S., yes. Not documented. Base 211 was actually there, or a functioning base.
Right.
Nazi UFOs.
Right.
Combat advanced craft. And surviving hidden Nazi civilizations.
Yeah. So very good point. We could just argue there's a lot of UFO claims that are not documented in life and not just related to the Germans. So my question would be, did they just, they're building mythology so we become more afraid of the Nazis, that they're bad, evil people, and they're whacked and they're trying to find aliens. So that's my question to this. And saying that it's not documented and it's related to aliens doesn't necessarily mean that it didn't happen, because it could have just been wiped off. It could have been taken out. The files could have gone missing.
Here's the whole thing. You don't need aliens or hidden bases to explain Project High Jump. They could have just gone up to Antarctica. So why have all this? But it makes to a great freaking story. It's a great plot line. We got to get there before the Nazis get there.
Yeah, but the reason you're saying the Americans made it up, so they had a reason to go to Antarctica?
Possibly.
No, that doesn't make sense to me. Okay.
Called misdirection. And remember, at the time, all this stuff is coming out in the papers or on a radio.
Okay, let's get into the Ananurba Paranormal Research Division.
The Ananurba is to me, one of the most disturbing real organizations ever. It's into the occult, UFOs, secret tech. It absolutely existed. That's what makes it so freaking scary.
The SS Paranormal Research Division.
Yes. So the full name is the German Ancestral Heritage Research and Teaching Society.
Wow, they really like long names.
Jeez, yeah.
It was founded in 1935 and controlled by the SS. On paper, it was an academic institute for studying. That's how they listed it.
Sure.
Ancient history, archaeology, linguistics, and my favorite, folklore. In reality, it became a state-funded machine for racial ideology, pseudoscience, and war crimes.
Yeah, it's a dark enough agency without having the alien angle within it.
It was deeply tied to Heinrich Himmler. Himmler believed science should prove Aryan superiority, not test it. That belief poisoned everything else that followed.
Yeah, that's how they justified a lot of the atrocity.
So they sent expeditions, you mentioned this, to Tibet, to Scandinavia, to the Balkans. The goal was to prove Aryans originated everywhere. Rewrite history to fit Nazi mythology. The findings that didn't fit were either ignored or buried. The Ananurba studied ruins and symbols, promoted myths of Atlantis and Hyperborea. They framed folklore as racial memory.
Believed in it. Because they believed in that.
Here's one thing that did not happen out of this whole group, out of all of this. They did not build advanced weapons. They did not create flying saucers. They did not discover alien tech. Instead, it created the ideological environment that allows fringe ideas to be funded, ancient knowledge to be treated as superior to modern science, and secret programs to operate without scrutiny. You can overlap this, right, with Victor Schoenberg and later war special projects overseen by Hans Kammler. But those links are conceptual, not administrative. So folklore, UFO folklore, is now attached to it.
Well, they were looking for the Ark of the Covenant. They were looking for the Spear of Destiny. They were looking for those things in this group as well. And I also think, too, that, you know, we had the legacy program that's not talked about, that doesn't really exist. We have those things that we connect to projects that the U.S. have been doing that, you know, is just as much speculation as what we're saying on this side, that that Hitler and the Nazis were trying to build alien tech or trying to find alien tech, or may have alien technology. And then they link it to divisions like this, the SS Paranormal Research Division. So people don't know, you know, it's with a ruse. They don't really know that they're experimenting or they have alien technology, or they're searching for these things. It's a tough one to really weigh in on, because there's a wall for us to really know what we what we're
Right.
told. I think it's time to weigh in. I think we have enough information here. All right, that's the report as we have it. Andrew, great job on the details. Now let's weigh in on whether we think this is a mostly true alien story. Now, you can't say I don't know either way. You have to weigh in one way or another. You can do individual claims, or you can take it all as one and go, hey, for a majority of this, it's a mostly true alien story. But what I don't think is true is XYZ. All right, so we can go that route. First, I'm going to hand it off to Emma. Do you think that this is that the Hitler alien connection is a mostly true alien story or not, based on all the information you heard today, which was a lot of stuff?
I do not. I just think we can't dismiss the fact that this regime and this entire situation, they were just master propagandists. I just believe that they were master manipulators using this ideology to continue their agenda.
Emma says it's not a mostly true alien story. Andrew, I'm going to hand it over to you. What do you think?
I'm going to agree with Emma on this one. The fact that they did everything in their power to show that the Aryans were everywhere in the world that we knew and in space, it's just, again, misdirection to cover up what they were doing, the atrocities that they were doing. This is not a mostly true alien story. This is psychopaths that are obsessed with the occult, that are using everything in their power to justify what they did.
Okay. Emma says not a mostly true alien story. Andrew says it's not a mostly true alien story. Now it's my turn to weigh in. I said it in the beginning. I don't think they give a shit about justifying what they did. There was no justification other than they wanted to be the supreme race. And I think that crazy, draws crazy. I think there was definitely technology being built and experimented on. And I'm going the long way to say that I think there's elements to this that are impressive in terms of technology. I don't think, though, any of this is related to alien technology. So this is not a mostly true alien story. I agree with you guys. Something drove the SS to spend wartime resources searching for non-human origins, whatever that something was. I don't know. We're not sure. But the Third Reich is history's most documented horror show, and we know almost everything about it, except the stuff they buried, except what happened to Kammler, except what came out of Der Riese, except what they found. Was there contact? Was there technology? We want to know what you guys think about all of this. Please leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe to all YouTube, on Instagram and TikTok at Mostly True Alien Stories. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Until then, and be kind to the aliens when they get here. Nice job, Andrew, with the details, Emma, and we will see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
UFO sightings. Many Americans have wondered about